Sydney's world-famous beach is the place to see and to be seen. Bondi started the world's first life-saving club in 1906 and today is renowned as a surfer's paradise. This centre of Aussie beach culture is a fitting host to Olympic beach volleyball.
What's not to like about this place? One of the legendary figures in Olympic history is weightlifter 2000OlympicsPocketHercules, the Pocket Hercules. He's the only man to win 3 Olympic gold medals in his sport, and he came here with the chance to become only the 4th ever to win the same individual event 4 times. But the Pocket Hercules never intended to accumulate such records, and he came reluctantly to these Olympics. With his story and the story of his competition here, Ernie Johnson.
No one knows for sure how he got the name Pocket Hercules, but it fits. 5 feet tall, 136 pounds, he came to Sydney with one purpose: to win his 4th consecutive Olympic gold medal and author another chapter in a life story which has at times seemed an odd mix of stark reality and mythology. He prefers to train alone these days. A solitary figure, working late into the night in downtown Ankara. He is Turkey's greatest Olympic hero, but his story begins in neighboring Bulgaria, where he was born. In the early 80s, Bulgarian nationalism was reaching a crescendo, and ethnic Turks like Naim were being forced to change their names to Slavic ones, give up their language, give up their religion. Violence against ethnic Turks reached alarming proportions. Bulgaria was trying to destroy a culture. His neighborhood became a battle zone. They renamed him Naum Shalamanov. He became a product of the communist state. He won every competition he entered. In 1986, he was touted by the Bulgarian government as a successful example of Turkish assimilation. But he had had enough. At a meet in Melbourne, Australia, he asked for asylum in Turkey. The Bulgarians said he was kidnapped, but Pocket Hercules had devised a secret plan. He arrived a hero in Turkey, flying in on Prime Minister Turgut Özal's private jet. In 1988, he went to Seoul as a Turk. Because he hadn't been a Turkish citizen for 3 years, IOC rules mandated a waiver from Bulgaria to compete. The Turks paid a $1 million ransom, and he brought home their first Olympic gold medal in 20 years. The Prime Minister sent his jet to bring him home, and was, of course, the first to greet the new idol. No one in Turkish history had ever brought out the masses as Naim did that day. Over 1 million Turks flooded central Ankara.
There were people all over the place. They were full of joy. The Turkish people made me one of them. At that moment, I became one of them.
But his parents and 2 brothers were still in Bulgaria, a country on the brink of revolution. Ethnic Turks wanted out. The border was closed. In Istanbul, thousands marched for their freedom. 3 weeks after the Olympics, Prime Minister Özal was able to free Naim's family. 3 weeks after that, a mass exodus. One of the largest in European history. Turkey welcomed home its own.
After my family arrived in Turkey, the border collapsed. 300 to 500,000 people came across.
He had his family, his millions, his masseuse. He had his Mercedes. Not bad at age 20, but he wanted to quit. Prime Minister Özal said he couldn't, could he?
He would not let me quit. I wanted to quit as champion. Mr. Özal said I could win again.
Gold in Barcelona, he retired. Gold in Atlanta, he retired again. Now Sydney. Really? Just 11 months ago, he returned to the gym. Turkey's media darling was overweight, injured, out of shape. But he'd been here before. Still, everyone wondered. His honeymoon with Turkey's 12 daily newspapers ended long ago. He's good copy, good gossip, and is covered like a movie star. If there's a problem, there's a feeding frenzy to find out why. This past May, to a chorus of boos, Naim returned to Bulgaria for the European Championships and did something strange. He lost. Pocket Hercules took home a bronze, but he looked weak. The National Sports Daily headlined, "Naim, you let us down."
People are always demanding. It's hard to satisfy them. They always ask for more.
At 32, the Olympic legend isn't worried. His quest for a fourth straight gold is right on course.
I will finish well ahead of the others, like I did in Seoul and Barcelona. That's because I have nothing to be afraid of.
The fearless Pocket Hercules knows how to work a room. A deafening roar turns to an expectant buzz as he begins his familiar pre-lift routine. The buzz becomes a whisper at his unspoken request. As a king surveys his domain, Suleymanoglu fixes his sights on a 319-pound bar. And all eyes are on him as he sets about his task. And suddenly the plot thickens. Waiting in the wings is a challenger, Croatia's Nikolai Peshalov, whose supporters include tennis player Goran Ivanisevic. Given the unexpected break, it's advantage Peshalov. The same weight that had proven to be such a labor for Hercules had been taken toward the ceiling by the guy with the Samson-like hairstyle and the power to match. Now it was time for Suleymanoglu to summon up the strength of his namesake, whose legendary feats of strength have fueled fables and films. Same weight, 319 pounds. Same determined effort. Same result. No lift. He was in danger of what they call in weightlifting circles a bomb out. 3 misses, which would disqualify him from the next phase, the clean and jerk, and leave him without a total for the competition. In other words, there was some pressure here. In the annals of mythology, Hercules died an agonizing death by fire. Here in Sydney, the dreams of Pocket Hercules went down in flames. He told the Turkish press, quote, "I regret starting out at such a high weight," unquote. And with that, he left the auditorium. And left the stage to his successor. It would be the 30-year-old Peshalov, who had claimed silver in Barcelona and bronze in Atlanta. Finally, he earned the gold, which had eluded him. The torch had not been passed, really, but wrested away from a man who had gripped it with all his might.
As Ernie Johnson noted, Naim Suleymanoglu defected from Bulgaria to Turkey while competing here in Australia. This occurred back in 1986. He'd been plotting the defection for a year, and it became something of an international incident. Ultimately, the Turkish Prime Minister would send a plane for Suleymanoglu when he reached London. Now, almost 15 years later, it would appear that the career that began here with that defection and rise to fame has now also ended here in Australia. Still ahead, swimming.